Well, hello. I'm in my office today. I'm not in my studio. I got to actually get out of here and get to my studio right after this is done. So I have my Monday afternoon cohort call with all my clients in the hotel to apartment conversion program. We have a lot to go over. So that'll be fun. But the topic here today has to do with submetering. Now, I put together a little ebook on it so everybody can understand exactly what it is and how it works. And I think it's very important that you understand how this works, because if you're new to the business, this is one of those screw ups where you really need to understand. So let me explain to you how this works. All right. So when you're looking to buy a property, and then we'll talk about if you already own a property as well in just a moment, but if you're looking to buy a property, you can determine right away whether there's any submetering, or what's also known as RUBS, if any of that is going on the property from the initial income and expense statement. What you do is you look at the income section, and under the other income portion of the revenue section will list all the utilities. And what that means is that's revenue that's coming into you from the use of the utilities. And what you automatically do when you look at that number is you take your finger and you draw all the way down to the expenses, and you find the utilities under the expenses, and you compare the two. How much am I bringing in from the utility numbers, and how much am I paying out? All right. Now, if you're thinking that, well, there's a big spread in there, that's going to be good for you, because you can increase the revenues, the NOI on the property, just by increasing the utility income. All right, that's true. But here's the thing. Many jurisdictions, many cities and towns have a restriction on how much a landlord can charge for utilities, because you can't make money on it. If you're making money on it, you're now a utility company, and they don't like that to happen because the criminals don't like competition. How many times have you seen that bumper sticker, huh? All right. So what happens then is you see the difference. How much are you bringing in and how much are you paying out? And can we make some money on this? And then what you're going to do, once you go in, you have the property under contract, you're going to go in and you're going to understand, how is the submetering going? How do they calculate out what a person receives from the metering on the property? Is it a flat rate? Is the water and sewer based upon how many bedrooms there are? Is the water and sewer based upon how many tenants they have in the building? Figure that out and think about, how can we make this change if we need to drive the revenue even more? Okay, so that's what you look for. Now, remember, you can submeter the water, the sewer, the gas, the electric, all those different things. But if you're looking at an all bills paid property, that means that you as the owner of the property pay all the utilities. Those are the worst properties to own and operate, because they just scream C-class, low-income tenants. Because low-income tenants, C-class tenants, they don't want to put the utilities in their own name. They want to just pay one price and get out of there. All right. So when you see an all bills paid property, then you know what you're getting your hands into. If it's an individually metered property, bravo to you. That's a great business structure, because in that business structure, this is an example of how the landlord is, if it's a all bills paid property, the landlord is always in competition with the tenant and the utility company. And when you're in competition with those two people, you will always lose. But if it's individually metered, you're okay. That's great. It's now becoming their problem. All right. So that's an issue with submetering. Now, another issue with submetering has to do with you thinking you're the smartest guy in the room, and you see this property that you're going to buy, and it's an all bills paid property, and you think, oh, all I have to do is shift that burden over to the tenants and have them pay the utilities. Okay, that is kind of what we're talking about here, but here's what you have to make sure before you do that. You always have to check what the market is doing. What's your competition doing for these types of tenants that you have in your property? Here's what I'm talking about, and this is a real life example of a major screw up done by yours truly when I was very new in this business. So here's what you have to look out for. I had a property, and I bought this property, and it was I can't even remember how many, I think it was 98 units, and it was on a street in this one particular city that had 1,300 other utilities, not utilities, 1,300 other doors from several different complexes, all on the same street. Solid C-class property. That street, we were fighting over the same customers. But I had this great idea. I'm going to turn this to be all bills paid. I'm going to make the shift. I'm going to do this, and everybody's going to be I'm going to be charging them the rents and what have you. Folks, you should have seen my client base shrivel practically overnight while they shifted and they moved out to the guy across the street, guy down the street, because they don't pay utilities. They wanted an all bills paid property. That's what they signed up for. And I watched my client base take off, my tenant base take off. So I can tell you right now, that's the number one thing you have to do. That's like the number one thing you have to do if you're ever thinking about making these changes. Now, how do you do it? If you're going to make the change, if you're looking at a way that you can do it in a fair and equitable manner that's going to comply with any law that you're dealing with, here's how you do it. You hire a guy like the gentleman that I just interviewed the other day, Kelly Kuntz from submetersolutions.com. I just did an ebook about our podcast. You can get the ebook. I'm going to ask Molly. There she goes. There you have it. Okay. You can go right to that link, download the ebook. Okay. And when you get that ebook, it'll explain to you exactly how this works. Kelly sells a service, and he sells a piece of machinery. You go slap it on your pipes or on your gas meters, and it tracks how much usage is going through the pipes. And then it uploads it to the cloud. You can go online. You can see what everyone's usage is. They can match the bill to your tenant. They can pay it. And the money comes back into you in the form of revenue to you. And now some of you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. How do I know if it's being paid? If the person isn't paying the utility bill, how do I gotta wait, hold on a second. 2 ringy dingies. She got it in 2 rings. Good kid. Okay. So think about it. The person pays the utility charge that is billed to them through the administrator of your RUBS system, and then the revenue comes back to you. All right. But what happens if the tenant doesn't pay that bill to the administrator? All right. So what happens if the tenant doesn't pay the bill to the administrator? How do you evict the person? You can't shut off their utilities, but they're not paying them. What you do is you write a provision in the lease that says all the charges that are responsible for the services, all the payments go to the how do we say, the rent first, and if any delinquency in the payments will be taken off the rent. So if you don't pay the full charge, you're it ends up being such that you're not paying the rent, and therefore you're in default, and you can evict the person for not paying their rent because they're not paying the utility, and it's all perfectly legal. And this is something that Kelly sets up for you, and it's a huge solution. It's also one thing that he mentioned is that it's amazing. Remember, even though you have the tenants paying the rent, they're not going to, you can't make money on it. It's not going to be all their responsibility. You're still going to pay a portion of the utility bill. But when you make them responsible for the rent, it's amazing how the usage goes down and your utility bills come down because you're now making them become more responsible for the use of the utility. Genius. Absolutely fantastic concept. The other thing too is that now you can really make sure that the people are being charged the right amounts. It's equitable. It's incredibly fair. If you got 5 people living in one unit and one guy living in the other, they shouldn't have to pay the same amount for the utilities. They don't use the same amount, especially for water and sewer. So that is something that is another reason why submetering these things instead of doing a flat amount is a much better way to do it. And these little gizmos that they put in each unit are not expensive. I think they said it was like $120 is what it typically costs to put one of these things in there. That'll pay itself back in 2 to 3 months, for crying out loud. And the other thing too. So for those of you listening, it doesn't have to be a big, huge property. That's what it used to be in the olden days. Back for those people who were born in the 1900s. You know who you are. Most of you are my friends. For the older properties, older systems, you needed a big property to make it worth their while. He says right now, his biggest market are duplexes. Yeah. And, he also does the administration, or he can show you how to do the administration all on your own. It's all on the cloud. You can see it. And the other thing too, which is really cool. Now, the other thing is if you do like a water meter and the water is running and doesn't get turned off, or there's a leak in the pipes, you'll know it. You'll know it right away by the water usage. You can see that overnight. I tell you, I had one property where I had to individually metered all the water, but it was still an all bills paid. The property was set up to be individually metered, but the market was an all bills paid. So I found out, I got a phone call from my accountant. He said, I just got the bills in for the water. You better go check unit 732 because that bill was exorbitant this month. And that's how we found out. But that took over 30 days to figure out there was a leak in the pipes. Now with these gizmos, and I'll call them gizmos, this is exactly how it works. You can find out right away. So check out Kelly Kuhn, submetersolutions.com. Great guy. Listen to his podcast with me. Of course, it's a typical fun podcast. And you can listen to it there and find out more there, I guess. And there are a bunch of things also in the giveaway aisle. But I also had a great podcast the other day with a gentleman who we talked waterfalls, and we talked not about waterfalls, talking about syndication deals and structuring the syndication deals. So that was another great podcast that we have. I'm ramping up my podcast this year. I'm doing about 2 to 3 per week, because what I didn't realize is that I get more downloads exponentially when I do more episodes in the course of a week. It's not that my base has grown. It's just that I'm sending them more and it's automatically being downloaded. So I'm going crazy. I'm going to be one of the top podcasters this year. But all of the shows are going to be a lot of fun. I guarantee it. So I'm making sure that we get a lot more info out there. I just did a podcast the other day on seller financing, what you should do and what you shouldn't do for seller financing. So that's a good lesson as well. And if anybody has any topics or they have somebody they think I should interview on one of my podcasts, please shoot us an email, info@multifamilyinvestingacademy.com, and we will reach out to them, or I will make it a topic of a upcoming episode. But that's it. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. I was out in San Francisco visiting two of my kids, and that was a lot of fun. And for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking right around, because right around Christmas, I'm going to become a grandfather. Yep, little Stanley. Little Stanley's going to be born, and he will be renamed the day he's born. You see, they do this big thing. Kids nowadays, they do the big gender reveal. Okay, cool. They shoot off the rocket in the backyard, and it all was blue, so we're getting a boy. What's his name going to be? Please tell us what his name is going to be. And no, we're not going to disclose the name. Why not? We just had to live through the gender reveal. Why don't you let us find out what the name is going to be? No, because you might be too opinionated. You might not like the name, and I don't want to hear whether you like the name or not. Oh, we should change the name. I'm not going to do that. I said, you know what? All right, I get it. I totally get it. But I'm going to love that kid no matter what. So my daughter said, no, I'm not going to tell you. I said, well, that's fine, because I'm going to call him Stanley. Kid's going to be Stanley. So whenever I call her, how's Stanley doing? She's always kicking up a storm. So I think the kid might end up being Stanley forever, typically how these types of things work. And then, of course, we have to wait to see what he names me. And that's how in our family, that's how the grandfather gets his name. We let the kids name the grandfather. Because my father was Popcorn. There was Popcorn, and he was Popcorn to everybody after that. So that's a very good name for him. We can't wait. So, all right, folks, I hope this was helpful. Great to hear from you. Thanks for stopping in. Go check out my YouTube, please. Check out some of my YouTube lives. Check out some of the other new content on YouTube. Check out my podcasts are on YouTube, because I'm this close to, I don't know, there's some level that I'm supposed to hit. And Molly said, I just need X number of hours left. I think it's like a 3 hours, maybe more. I don't know, Molly. Don't disappoint me, Molly. Molly's got to give me an update, but we're close to achieving a new level with YouTube, which I don't know what that means, but 30 more annual watch hours, 30 more. I could have Ms. Jacobs just sit there for a day and a third, and a fourth, and just watch me over and over again. I would appreciate it, Ms. Jacobs. I'm calling you Ms. Jacobs because I can't pronounce your first name. Alahita, is that how we do it? Saturday kick. Oh, listen, my Saturday kickoffs are a fan favorite. You should definitely check out the Saturday kickoffs. They're just little 3-minute snippets. So you're gonna have to watch 100 of them. I'm just kidding. But they're really good. It's little snippets of good information that my producer there curates from some of my content, and it's great stuff. So, all right, everybody. So good to see you all, and I will chat with you again next week. Chat later. Thanks. Bye-bye.